welcome to another Cannabis Conversations with Casey. This is a brand new series on the Down the Road Show podcast, which is also not just one of the first video podcasts ever on YouTube 10 years ago, but now we're one of the first video podcasts on Spotify. Thanks for that expansion, Spotify. It's about time you're keeping up with the Joneses. This show is sponsored by our friends over at Dark Knight Studios. Makes this amazing shirt. It did not come to me this wrinkled. That is my fault. Sorry, Bat. He also makes all of my logos for Down the Road Show and most of my projects. He's an amazing human to work with and a creative entity that you're definitely going to want to use for your branding and your project or your podcast or whatever you got coming up next. We're also sponsored by my new product, Pot Pastor Wellness. That's right. It's not just CBD. We got a lot of things coming your way that are all Pot Pastor blessed and approved by me. So look forward to that coming here soon down the road. But more importantly, let's get to today's Cannabis Conversation with Laura from Love, Sass and Grass. How you doing today, Laura?
Hey, how are you? I'm doing very well. Yes.
Good. Now, you just had your first Clubhouse room the other day, and you've launched your first official podcast, which is why I'm excited to have you on here today. So talk about the inspiration real quick for Love, Sass and Grass, the podcast.
Okay. I am a cannabis educator, and I am also going through the throes of menopause and trying to find resources to help guide me through this rather life-changing bit of my life. Like, it is happening, and it has impacted quality of life, and trying to find guidance has been a challenge. So I thought I would blend those two things together when I found out how much cannabis could potentially help women who are going through some of the side effects that I am, and how our endocannabinoid system interacts with our menopausal side effects, and how the having a change of diet, some things to add to your diet, or to focus mainly on eating and maybe not so much other things, has been a real eye-opening experience for me. And luckily, some of the foods that they suggest I already eat, but now it's like I'm definitely going to eat more of them. So that's my my inspiration to kind of share the knowledge that I've gained. And if you can't be a good example, be a warning.
I like that. One of the other things I absolutely love about you and your podcast, and for even starting it, is it, like you just said, it's life-changing. Menopause is a life-changing thing, but not just for women, but the people around them in their life as well. So your show is very educational for us men who might have someone in our lives, or will soon enough be going through menopause, and how that relates to us as well. And I love that perspective that you bring.
Oh, thank you so much. And you know what? I think that it's like an awkward conversation, but I can only imagine how awkward it would be if you're standing outside looking in, going, I don't know why she's all of a sudden standing out in the snow naked, screaming that she's hot. And then, we'll go into like the basement and start eating ice cream out of the tub, crying. Like, I don't know what to do to help her, you know?
The visuals, the visuals are just too perfect right there.
I tell you, and it's an awkward conversation amongst women. Never mind the person that's sleeping next to you in the bed. And having those conversations that doesn't bring up a whole other can of worms, because as soon as you start talking about I've noticed maybe the performance in the bed hasn't been fireworks. So how do you do that conversation?
Yeah, let's talk about that. How do you do that conversation? Because you're a coach as well.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm more of an intimacy kind of coach. So maybe you do need some therapy, and maybe you do need to address some issues that you don't think you can solve by having a polite conversation at the end of the bed. kind of going, so this is what, I would like to encourage, just because I am not a psychotherapist.
Well, and as an intimacy coach,
Yeah.
now might be a great time to show your icebreaker and introduce her, because this is the start of the podcast, right? So let's get everybody who's watching this on Spotify and on YouTube really hooked into what you do as a intimacy coach and as a life therapist, or I could put all kinds of labels on you because I love what you do.
Feel free to label me.
But you're just an amazing person. But let's introduce your partner.
Sure. Okay. So part of my workshops has been a focus on menopause, and I realized that one of the incredible life impacting events is the fact that our interior vaginal wall thins out, and penetrational sex becomes quite painful, or can result in vaginal tearing. And if you've ever had vaginal tearing, for example, during childbirth, or through surgeries or whatever, catastrophic events, vaginal tearing is very difficult to heal. So it becomes like a chronic thing to happen. And this is not the sort of conversation that a lot of women can have with their GP without feeling embarrassed or shame. And I just wanted to have a space where we can talk about what women are suffering in silence with right now. And I started these workshops on menopause, and also kind of like infusing, see what I did there?
Oh yeah.
infusing the conversation with Cannabis 101, and how to, because I do feel that a lot of I almost feel like a new convert, right? So I don't want to throw my new cannabis knowledge in everyone's face, because I think that it's a bit overwhelming. So I wanted to combine menopause with cannabis, and let's explore some of these solutions to what's bothering you, especially about your vagina and genitals, because this is the conversation that you need to have. And you need to talk about lube, and you need to know where to put the lube. You need to know about suppositories. Suppositories for women can go in 2 different places, not just one place, 2 places.
Right. So these are not squeamish conversations. These are educational conversations.
Yes. Because like I imagine myself as like either let's face it, I'll be the cool hip aunt, not the sister, but still, like, maybe you do need that older sister on the sofa who's going to tell you what's what. And like, this is what you need to know. And this is what you need to be prepared for, because even if you're not going through menopause, 97% of all women, and women make up 50% of the population. So 97% of us are going to go through menopause, sometimes naturally, but also sometimes because of surgery and going through chemotherapy and illness. So, menopause happens. And I think that, what is the saying? Forewarned is forearmed or something. Isn't that what it is?
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power. Exactly.
The more you know. Doom, doom, doom.
Yeah. I don't know that one.
It's an old 80s reference, after school stuff.
Okay. Oh yeah, American stations, American stations. Okay. So anyway, so having these workshops, I know that women are having these issues, but trying to get that information out of them, I'm telling you, it was like trying to pull teeth, right?
Well, especially in front of their men, maybe. I would imagine.
Well, it was women only.
Okay.
It was women only workshops. Okay, so it was just like, it's just us girls, so we can all talk about it. There's no judgments. Okay, no judgments here, because ultimately there are no stupid questions when it comes to I'm having a bad time with my sex life. Okay, there's just no judgments at all.
No,
to me,
nor should there be. A healthy sex life is important for your physical, mental, and spiritual health all the way around.
Exactly. And anyway, so trying to get women to kind of open up, and it got to me like, I didn't want to feel like this is like let's have a workshop, and Laura confesses all of her discretions from since 1999 or something, right?
Too many to go over for you women. Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding? Please. Like, we're talking, it puts the Encyclopedia Britannica to shame. So it's a multi-volume book, I can assure you. Anyway, so I just didn't want it to feel like I'm like, let's brag about my sex life in the 90s. No, I just wanted women pull that out. So trying to say, okay, don't be embarrassed. Here's a stupid story that I've got. Nonetheless, it was still really difficult. And I felt like I needed something that's going to break the ice, something that's going to be fun and a conversational starter. And people would be like, okay, I think I can talk about this because I've seen it all now. And so that's why I came up with my pussy puppet. This is Lola, and she helps talk about where to put our lubes and where to put suppositories, and to talk about being happy Lola, not sad Lola. Okay, we want happy, joyful, joy, joy, joy. Okay, so
okay,
yeah.
If you're listening to the audio podcast, you're fucked. This is why we do a video podcast. You're completely missing out. In any audio podcast form, you should be, screw you, Apple, or anywhere this audio podcast is. Jump over to Spotify for the video podcast, or to the official Down the Road Show YouTube channel, so you can see what's going on, because listening ain't enough. Because trust me when I say that puppet hit the clitoris on the head.
Exactly. And I had a really great puppeteer who actually constructed Lola.
Talk about the puppeteer real quick.
Her name is Kat Hayworth, and she's here in Toronto where I am. And I'm sure she printed off that email where I said, this is what I want. I want a non-threatening, googly-eyed vagina with long eyelashes.
It's probably framed somewhere on a wall. I would frame that email in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's like, I know it's Friday, so here's a really great Friday water cooler conversation. I got this email today. You're not going to believe it. So
you get the puppet from her, and it's everything you needed and wanted and more.
Yes. So when and this of course was pre-COVID, so I could have workshops, and then she really went all out. Oh my goodness, Lola's getting a bit dirty. I'm going to have to give her a bath. So because she's soft, and I encourage people to play with the puppet, and just that act of play, just that act of whimsy and craziness really helps kind of bring the temperature to of the conversation into something that people are prepared to open up.
Right.
And it's like, okay.
And remember that intimacy can also be fun.
Intimacy should be, and yeah, ultimately, shouldn't it be fun?
Yeah, we forget that sometimes.
Shouldn't it
guilty as charged as a man, like I'm busy in the moment and forgetting I'm supposed to be having fun. Yeah.
Well, there was a really interesting study that just came out, and I don't know if you read it, but it talks about the sexual need for kind of different, right? So we always assume that men are the ones that want to initiate extramarital sex because the sex has become boring for them. However, when they really drilled down into how men think that they need to be perceived, but what actually is happening, they are perfectly content to have sex in the missionary position at the same time every day or every week, however arranged time. And they're perfectly happy with that when you get right down to it. So it's just like, you know what, here it is. I'm having sex, and I'm having whatever, even if it's the same situation every single time. Whereas women who everyone thinks don't have like a vivid sexual fantasy life have incredibly varied sexual fantasy lives. And when it comes down to it, how a woman achieves an orgasm is really also a very cerebral experience.
Right.
which is another reason why when I started studying cannabis and I realized how many of our CB1 receptors are in our brains and how many CB1 receptors are actually in our vaginal canal.
Oh
So
yeah,
it
this
makes,
is Cannabis Conversations. I forgot. Thanks for bringing it back.
yeah. So like I was going to thread that needle. Okay. I was going to thread it.
I
From
forgot.
going from a pussy puppet to actually cannabis science, there is a road I travel on.
Perfect. Let's go down that road.
And part of the reason why I've really wanted to bring attention to women going through menopause is because of the way that the endocannabinoid system and cannabinoids interact in our brains and in our intimate places. And especially when it comes to pain management and for increasing natural production of secretions, shall we say? So you can produce your own
Orgasms and coming. She's talking about coming, people. Come on, this is an adult show. There are no kids here.
Absolutely. So, you get your own juices flowing and maybe you don't have to use as much lube and all of that thing. And because you're kind of stimulated in your clitoral and labia areas, that also sends a signal to your brain to kind of go, hey, is it sexy time? Should I start thinking about something? I think I'm going to start thinking about some sexy stuff then. And then, so it's kind of like
so taking a hit to that.
Yeah, there you go. So it's your brain is on a kind of like a loop where it's like, oh, is this happening? And then your vaginal area, which is also now stimulated, is like, oh my God, this is so happening. And then the brain is like, really happening? It's like, yeah, it's really, really happening. So
because let's talk about the difference between how cannabis and the CB1 receptors affect you as women, especially. Let's start with the brain, because the best way to get a woman off and to please her in the bedroom is through the brain first, from what I've been told.
For sure. Okay. Well, there is an area of our brain called the pleasure center, and which coincidentally, for you foot fetishes out there, it's also really close to our smell receptors. Yeah, exactly. Listen, I shout out to that gentleman out in Holland who really likes it when I get a pedicure. Shout out to you.
No, look, I'm a trained massage therapist, so I understand reflexology and how all that relates. So please go on.
Yes, but our pleasure center is an area of our brain that is literally jam-packed with CB1 receptors, which are found in the bud of the cannabis plant. So cannabis really helps our brain chemistry. I'm not talking about, and then I got super high and then had sex. That I'm not talking about that sort of scenario. I'm talking about like a non-toxicating event where you are still stimulating the pleasure center, but you're not necessarily intoxicated. Maybe you feel horny, but that does not necessarily mean I'm super high and I'm going to smoke out of this honey bear honey bottle. No. We're talking about something that is actually stimulating a brain center, which is kind of having a cascading effect that is going to involve, hopefully, a really satisfying, intimate experience with the partner of your choice.
Yes, well said. Well said.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's what I want to, that sort of knowledge is what I want to be commonplace, because I want us to be knowledgeable consumers, so that when we go into a dispensary or something, that we are not being sold products that ultimately are going to not address what we want addressed. And that being said, I know there are a lot of personal lubricants available in the States that aren't available in Canada, so I can't really comment on them, but I know that that is going to be a huge market, because let me tell you, if you help a woman have an orgasm, she's going to open up her purse and throw money at you. You know, that's, I mean, yeah,
I get it.
exactly.
I get it. As a man, I have always complained about the fact we get, our one orgasm and we're done, and that you women get multiple orgasms. But your life bringers and goddesses, and so
Yeah, but it's
it's a
like
fair
getting the
trade-off.
first, getting the first one is the challenge, though. Okay, especially if you're with company that doesn't know how to get you there, and you're like Sisyphus, pushing that boulder up, almost, and then rolling back down. No, getting to the first one is the critical thing, right? And I think that a lot of women, it's like, oh, he almost made me come, so whatever, he's happy, whatever.
Okay, first, almost is only good in hand grenades and horseshoes, not orgasms. So
I know.
So let's talk about the CB receptors in the body and how cannabis
Sure.
helps you get there, and how us as men can help stimulate those pleasure centers to help get that first orgasm. Because once that first one gets you there, then hopefully the rest can start cascading like a waterfall.
Well, I got some homework. For the boys, because one of the things that I've learned going through menopause is something called clitoral atrophy, which means that your clitoris starts to shrink post-menopause if you don't use it. So this organ needs to be stimulated, or it literally shrinks.
That's the worst thing I've ever fucking heard.
I know. Listen, trust me, I would like to have a word with the manufacturer and just kind of go, you finally get a woman who is at an age where she no longer gives any fucks about what anybody thinks. And then what happens? She grows chin hair, her boobs sag, and her pussy hurts. Like, I'm just mad about this. It's like, I'm finally in a stage of my life where I can like handle everything. And then now it's like, I have to spend like, thousands of dollars so I don't look like Eric the Red. Thanks.
So the great creator gets a 1 on menopause.
Yes.
Do not recommend.
And not only that, but it can last up to 10 years.
Now that's fucked up.
Isn't it? Yes, it is not unheard of for it to go through it for about 10 years.
Well, as men, we go through stupidity our entire lives, so.
Yeah, but that really hits you at 40, though.
Right.
That's when the real stupid comes out.
You ain't lying. You're not lying. You're not lying.
So, yeah, exactly. So, and when it comes to just dealing with things like hot flashes, there are also brain centers, or brain areas in our brain that have to deal with the modulation of what we call homeostasis, and that includes body temperature. And this area of our brain is called the hypothalamus. And that particular gland in our brain is the one that controls our body temperature. And one of the things that it can affect people going through menopause is hot flashes. And hot flashes are crazy, because you're having a perfectly lovely time sitting on the sofa, and then all of a sudden it's 1,000,000 degrees and you're sweating. And last winter there was a day when it was like -20 out, and I stood outside on my balcony and I gave my neighbors a show, because I'm like, I can't even believe how hot I am. Come on, snow, come on, hit me, baby. And it was, you
were melting the snow as it was hitting
yeah,
you.
for sure. Oh yeah, I was just like, bring it on. Yeah, it's like, yeah, definitely. And going through that, you're like, this is some sort of fucked up stuff. So that's when I started looking into teas and going, okay, well, if my hypothalamus and like I'm learning about cannabis, I'm like, okay, I would rather investigate to see how a CBD or this particular terpene might be able to help me. I started looking at diet stuff that I could add, and as I was saying, in
whole health and wellness.
And there are easy enough additions to your diet that can help improve that. And to me, it's like small baby steps. And to me, the most inspirational baby step you can have is having an orgasm, because you have an orgasm and then it's like, yeah, maybe I will, eat some walnuts today. Maybe I will go for a walk and look at pretty flowers, because you know what? I had some fireworks downstairs and that was super awesome. And I think that that kind of cascading effect of bliss happens, and it's like a life affirmation, and that you want to appreciate life again. And I think that regardless of our marital status, that this is something that we should all strive for, regardless of whether or not we're flying solo. And as well, I also want to encourage the use of toys. And these are not shameful instruments, and that men should not feel insecure if a woman brings out a toy and goes, "You want to share? Want to share this experience with me?" Because it's going to take a woman going through menopause a lot longer to achieve an orgasm for a variety of reasons. She's got to find that bridge between her brain and her vagina. She's got to find a chemical bridge between her pleasure center and her not thinking about the mortgage or, what she's got to do, cooking dinner or whatever. And like turning that side of her brain off also requires a chemical reaction. And something like CBD is like turning all of the background noise down. And then it's like, is it sexy time? Yeah. Let's light a candle and then go see what happens. And I've had a lot of anecdotal experience with people who don't necessarily use cannabis recreationally, like as an edible or vaping or whatever, but use cannabis infused lubricants in their sex lives. And that's how they consume cannabis. So, the fact that this has brought a spark to an otherwise challenging sex life, to me, it's like, I want to change the world one orgasm at a time. I think it's possible.
What I say yesterday in your room, a world with more orgasms and less man-colds would be a better world.
Sure.
I totally forgot where I was going with that too. But yeah, no, look, I've been trying to turn on as many people as possible to Love, Sass and Grass podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet.
See and what I did there?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, because, I was kind of discouraged by
no, you shouldn't be. It's an amazing podcast, an amazing concept. You're recording your next podcast this weekend, right?
Yes. And that's part of the reason why I brought up toys, because I really want to kind of destroy the whole idea that bringing a vibrator is somehow a signal to your sexual partner that they are lacking in some way. And
I got a direct opinion on that, so I'll share it right now. It's because it's never happened to me. I've always waited for it and I would have encouraged it at any time because it's not a competition. The only competition for me as a sports loving, competitive in everything I do in life, the only competition for me is, can I get my partner off more times than I did last time and give her better orgasms than I did last time? So if she's bringing out that toy or suggesting this or that, I've always been down to do it.
And that is exactly the attitude I want to cultivate, because I know that there are a lot of men out there that do not share this opinion. And that if we can have a man's voice say, dude, this ain't about you at all.
If you want to make it about you, then you want to get her off as much as possible. And trust me, it'll be about you.
That'll be about you, because she's going to be like, I got the man of the century. I'm going to pick up his socks off the floor. I will do it. You make a woman come. Yeah, that's right. She's going to be cleaning the house going, yeah, that's not bad. I mean, there you go. He's pulling my hair later.
Well, okay. And that's something as men, we take it for granted, you women, sexually as we're younger, and then as we get older, we're already in that bad habit of taking you for granted, and then we don't realize, as our sexual performance is declining, yours is peaking, but yet you hit menopause and yours could be declining at the same time too.
Exactly. And might I say, it's like, oh, you think you're hot stuff, man. Go do the plank for 45 minutes if you think you're going to bone me to the point where I'm going to be tired. Just go ahead. Do a plank for 45 minutes. I'll put you on the clock.
We're not good on the clock unless there's like a basketball shot and there's 3 seconds left in the game, and we've been practicing that shot our entire lives because we think we're Michael Jordan or Kobe or whoever.
Oh, can I just say, I made so many basketball coaches cry because I'm a tall person. And I remember in grade 9 when I went in my first day of secondary school, and like the gym teacher was like, her eyes lit up as soon as I walked into the room.
I'll bet.
And then she's like, do you want to come over here? Do you want to come over here? Oh, do you like basketball? And I'm like, I don't really know how to play basketball. And then she gave me a basketball. And then she said, okay, just stand here and try and dribble. And then I saw like the sadness. Sad kind of, you can almost see the tear in her eye going, really? Because I was so shit. I was so terrible. Just the walking and the bouncing of the ball, couldn't do it. Could not do it. She'd like, and then
so you're saying size doesn't matter?
Am I saying the size doesn't matter? I think it matters in basketball. I think coordination matters in basketball too.
And in the bedroom.
And in the bedroom, yes, coordination and, teamwork. How about that? Because I really think that your intimate life is teamwork.
Yes.
And
teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly. And just because I am such a nerd and I read a lot. I was also reading a study on men who have satisfying sex lives end up further in their careers than men who do not have satisfying sex lives. Because when you are sexually fulfilled,
broke,
at home,
disabled, anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to take the air out of the room.
No. This is not always the case, but within the study and parameters, okay, they had a study done where satisfying sex lives and their career trajectory, and that men who had satisfying sex lives got further in their career because they're happier people and willing to work as a team, and rather than a whole variety of reasons, but ultimately it comes down to, if you're happy at home, you do better at work. So
I did not need a team of scientists to tell me that.
Oh, sure. But when I can't remember which business publication had the study, and of course it was no shit Sherlock. But the fact that this was published as like it was a surprise to some people, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Because as someone that's worked in an office and worked in the corporate world, we already know who doesn't come at home.
It's true. No, it's true.
We all know who it is. And sometimes there are a whole group of people who gather in their misery. So
they do tend to bunch up together, don't they?
Yeah. Are you as unhappy as me? I'm unhappy. Me too. No. Yeah, sure. Because we all want a tribe, and sometimes it's a tribe of misery.
Yeah, and misery loves company, as the old saying goes. And it's true.
Absolutely. But
just like orgasms love company.
Oh, don't they just? Don't they just? And you know what? Okay, so here's my prediction, because I was having a conversation yesterday with my sister about this. I am convinced, like, where I live is finally kind of opening up after the first time in like almost 2 years. So we're finally getting to the point where we're having people kind of going outside and going to public venues and stuff like that. And I am convinced that this is going to be the year of the divorce, because people, it's just like, you know what, we've lived through a pandemic together. We got through this, we got to the other side, but you know what's going to happen in the next pandemic? I'm not doing it with you. You know, I'm not going through this shit again with you. So
I saw you at your worst.
Yeah. And I'm not doing it again. We did it and thanks, but I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. And I really think that as we open up and people are kind of outside again and like, oh, let's go for a walk or whatever, it's either going to be like divorce, or, you know, you've really got over the hump and you're going to be together forever. Yep. I think it's going to be
I 100% agree with you, because it's already showing up in everyday, in people, my friends and family and people I know and watch and pay attention to their Facebook posts. And it's showing up in the work life. People are already being more picky about their jobs now because of the pandemic, being more picky about their friendships and the people in their lives. It wouldn't be any different with marriages and relationships. And one of the things I, talk about all the time, it's one of the reasons I both love and hate apocalypse movies and TV shows, because it shows humanity both at our best in those situations and also at our worst.
Oh, sure. I'm sure. Absolutely. And I think that because we're all going through trauma right now. Like we, as a planet, we're suffering some serious trauma. Some cases worse than others, of course. But we are all going through some extreme stress. And I think that at the other end, you really find out something about yourself. And if it's something that you want to change, then maybe somebody brought out the worst in you and that you thought you were a better person. So I think that, I would definitely want to encourage people to seek a therapist or someone that they can talk to about, to kind of evaluate their lives, because maybe, you're a different person now, and whether or not that sucks or not, it's irrelevant, because we all went through it. So no one's to blame, but at the end, maybe you do want to change. And I take that very personally too, because I completely changed my career in my 50s. And and then the pandemic hit and I was like, well, that was really good timing, Hamilton. Really good timing. What a great time to start a business.
but it really is better than in the middle or realizing somewhere during this pandemic you wanted to change.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But at the same time, I lucked out in the sense that I had a real epiphany when I turned 50, and I realized, it's now or never for me to do something that I actually like, that I can flourish in, as opposed to a job that I have because I want to pay the rent of my apartment. And I know just from listening to the rooms in Clubhouse that people have really evaluated their lives and their careers, and they're really looking for either a side hustle that they can carry into full time, or they're looking for something that I know people are overusing the word passion, but really find something that they can dig their teeth into and enjoy. Right. If I'm going to spend 8 hours a day away from my family or in pursuit of something, I would like it to be something that I actually like doing. And I hope that it encourages people to pursue things like in the trades. One of the best things that I did was I took like a woodworking course. And
during the pandemic.
No, just before the pandemic. And I learned how to use a saw and stuff, and that really came in handy. So during the pandemic, what I started doing is I started refinishing furniture on my balcony. So I started like hand sanding and stuff like that. And I found like the action of sanding in a circle, this way, then this way, then this way. And I could have borrowed some power sanders, but again, like who knows that's some 70s varnish, like who knows what's in that. So Would I want that blowing around? No,
Right,
I think
yeah.
I'll do the hand sanding.
Well,
And
there's something about the hand sanding versus a machine sander too that's a little more therapeutic when it
oh,
comes to
for
the
sure.
motion and the creativity.
And I could
So
see, yeah. So like
yeah,
doing something
so
like that.
how did the creativity of working with wood help you with your own mental health?
Oh, I think like just having a project, working on it every day. I would make myself work on it every day, even if it was just 10 minutes, but to sand or like chip at it with my fingernails, because like some of the varnish, it was just so cracked that you could just kind of like pick at it. And I did it every day. And I said, okay, this is the section I want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
And were you good right off the bat?
I did a mistake, which I didn't realize. Well, ultimately, it's a piece of pine furniture, and I didn't realize how soft and porous pine was. And I got what I thought was a nice chocolate kind of brown color, because I really hate that. I don't know how to describe it other than 70s brown orange color.
Yeah, the fake mahogany wannabe
Oh
crap.
God, fuck.
Mahogany is one of my favorite woods.
Ugh.
So yeah.
Ugh.
But my point being was like,
yeah, I did a
you've started a
mistake.
new hobby. It's a
Sure.
creative. I've always the best way to get out of a funk or depression and to get back into a good state of mind and mental health is always a creative hobby, in my opinion. And it doesn't have to be something you're good at.
Oh, you know what? And that's what I love failure, because let me tell you, when failure, like doing something, even if you're shit at it, is me and knitting. I am the worst knitter on earth. And on top of that, I get super high and then I try and knit. So like there's all these random holes everywhere, but I like call them like diary scarves. And I'm like, I'm going to knit you a scarf and I'm going to get high and I'm going to use this wool. It's going to turn out really wonky, but it's made with love with you in mind. There you go.
Yay, wonky. I love the word wonky.
but you're so right with the refinishing of the furniture. Like I never expected myself to go, you know what I'm going to do in a pandemic? I'm going to refinish this table. But I did. And now it's just like now I look at furniture completely differently. And I definitely love wood. And I think if I could do it again, maybe a combo like cannabis farmer cabinet maker, because I loved it. It's like, ooh, dovetails, cool.
There you go. Are you listening, Hempwood? Let's send her some wood to play with.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. Are you kidding? And like I also have been obsessively watching tiny home building. And like that sort of carpentry too. I'm like, I want to build a cabin in the woods too.
Tiny hemp homes. It's a thing we're always talking about in some of these clubhouse rooms. Tiny hemp homes. So
yeah, for sure. And also like this hempcrete stuff. That
amazing.
It really looks interesting. And for someone like me who has property in the south of Italy where there's earthquake issues, and like learning about hempcrete being better than any sort of concrete like for seismic stuff, like wow. And it's antibacterial, doesn't grow mold and all that shit. It's like wow, I totally want to build
with the
something.
Insulation, hemp insulation, really? same thing, as opposed to this toxic insulation that we got all over the America. So yeah, same thing. Crazy. From ground up, we could make an entirely not just eco-friendly, but all of that would take away from the eco around it from wherever you build it with all that material.
Oh yeah, like not only can it solve the problems of housing, but it can also make you come. Like what?
What can cannabis do for you? It can build me a house and make me come.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you want to talk about a miracle plant. There you go.
Exactly. And they want to label it as a drug like heroin and all of that.
Don't even get me started.
No,
listen.
Before we end this, go down that war on drugs rabbit hole for me real quick.
Well, in Canada, there's someone called Emily Murphy. And if there were, to me, there was somebody in history that I would love to bitch slap, it's going to be her. She's the author of The Black Candle. And if you want to read a piece of racist trash, it's that book.
Let's not. No, don't read it. Do not give her the space or time. So everyone avoid that.
Yeah, it's just that the Canadian path to prohibition is slightly different from the States. And that's my only point, bringing that woman up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was my only point. Boo hiss. But at least we're federally legal. There's still, of course, a huge debate about who's the winner and loser of that.
Right.
Especially when it does come to things like the quantity and quality of the THC and cannabinoids in something like a lubricant, because there are severe restrictions on the labelings and the marketing of certain things, and how these what could potentially improve so many women's quality of life and their lovers. Why are you restricting?
Why are we punishing the labia? We're always punishing the labia as a species. God damn it.
Yes. And yet we give out Viagra like candy. And if you want to look at the side effects of Viagra,
no,
that is really terrifying. And yet
you mean the pill that they invented to stop heart attacks? Oh wait, it gives me a boner. Perfect. We're gonna sell millions of this.
So like just reading the list of the side effects of Viagra is quite terrifying.
No, thank you. Eat a banana, drink some milk, and smoke a cannabis. Trust me, you'll be strong like bull, gentlemen. Strong like bull.
Smart like streetcar.
Yeah. Well, since Down the Road Show is originally kind of a nerdy entertainment podcast, and Cannabis Conversations is a new thing, I like to go back to my original format and end every show with my favorite 3 questions. So here we go. Okay. Who is your favorite superhero or regular hero? You know, it can be Batman.
Does it have to be like a cartoon character?
No.
Oh,
I've had someone say the Dalai Lama, so you know.
You know what? I'm gonna say something just a historical figure that I think is amazing. How about that?
Okay.
Who deserves to be a superhero character, and her name is Granuelle, or Grace O'Malley. And she was the pirate queen in Ireland who did some crazy shit, including my favorite story of her. She gives birth to out at sea. Her ship is attacked. She is downstairs giving birth. She tells the crew to, like, you know, fend off the attack. She's having a kid. And because they hadn't stopped the battle, she literally puts the kid down, walks up with all of her bloodied nightgown, grabs a gun and shoots the captain of the other ship dead, and said, "I wanted one day." And then goes back and then starts nursing her baby. That is a badass Irish woman, sorry.
Woman, period. Badass woman.
Yeah, badass woman. Badass woman.
As a Scotsman American, I know better than to mess with a redhead or an Irish woman or a Scottish woman.
Listen, that's right. And on top of that, I know how to throw an axe. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So question number 2.
A woman scorned is based on a redheaded Irish or Scottish woman. Okay. Question number 2. So in fiction, a hero is only as good as their villain. Who's your favorite villain?
Ooh, villain, huh? Oh, God. You really like, what was the name of the character in Tale of Two Cities? I can't, oh my God.
Oh, damn it.
God damn it.
All my Shakespearean family and friends are going to be so mad at me right now. I don't know
It's
either.
Dickens. First of all, it's Dickens, not Shakespeare.
Oh wait, Tale of Two Cities. Oh,
A Tale of Two Cities is Dickens, not.
I was thinking of something completely different. See, shame on me. I need to do more reading.
Shame
It's
on
been a
you.
while. Yeah.
Shame
Oh my
on
God.
you.
Watching too much television and movies.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. Okay.
See, this is a real entertainment nerd I have on the show here now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. Okay. So
Can't think of the character's name, but why?
Because in the end, it's the betrayal of the family, and that's why Sydney the lawyer swaps places, and he's the one that goes walking up the scaffold because he's sacrificing himself instead of the aristocratic husband. So yeah, boo-hoo. But yeah, the true villain is the one that betrays the family, and they're almost get their heads chopped off during Robespierre's terror.
There we go. Betrayal.
Betrayal is the worst.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. Mine's Darth Vader. He's just one of the best villains of my childhood. And then now with the new movies, you get the full story arc of his being a kid and becoming the dark character, and then redeeming himself, saving his son at the end, and then the family going on and redeeming the galaxy. It's quite an interesting story arc as a character, whether you're into Star Wars or not.
I love the first three. I really tried to
the original
watch.
Three.
Yeah, I really tried to watch the new ones, but I couldn't.
I get it.
I've tried to like them. I really tried, but ultimately,
but think about it in the 80s, like Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back ends with the bad guys ahead and winning, and just like that kind of stuff wasn't going on in movies. Like it blew my mind as a child. Like Darth Vader's not supposed to win.
Absolutely. I remember seeing that at the drive-in in my there was a lot of honking and screaming. I really miss drive-ins, actually.
That would have been an experience.
It was totally fun. And just because it was so interactive, and the people were like, when he got away, there was a lot of hooting and hollering and
right. Spoiler alert, this movie came out 40 years ago. Anyway. In case you haven't seen it.
We both dated ourselves.
Right. So last question.
Sure.
Who's your real life hero? Who inspires you?
I'm going to say Annie Sprinkle.
Explain that.
Annie Sprinkle, she did performance art in Toronto in the 80s.
Okay, it's a Canadian thing. Thank you. Please explain further.
No, she is American. She was she worked as a porn performer, I guess, as well as a director and producer, because she really hated the way that porn was being shot. So she started making her own pornography and writing and doing all of the scenes. She was very sex positive. And in the mid 80s, when I was in my first year university, she came to Toronto to give a performance piece. Oh God, the name of it is escaping me right now. I'm so sorry. But basically it was her describing, it was public cervix announcement. And
what a great title.
Yeah. And she came out on stage in like this wonderful lingerie. And at the time, like, I thought she was like this older woman. She was in her 40s. To me, she was like, wow, she's like my mom's age. And she came out in this corseted number, and basically she let the audience come up and look at her cervix. It's like, if you're so interested in my pussy, well, why don't you come up and look at it? And she sat up there, and you could walk up and you can look up into this woman's cervix. And this was like my first year university, first week. I got drunk, and then I looked up this older woman's pussy, and I thought, wow, it's higher education or what? And I was just like, she really changed a lot for me as a young person seeing her show. I came in her show one person, and I left her show another person. And I think if anyone is able to inspire another person to kind of transform themselves because and as a result of their performance. I think that who else could inspire you more? Look her up. She is amazing. Annie Sprinkle. She's done a lot of really sex positive stuff. And at the time she was very open about being involved in a gay relationship, which at the time in 1985 was not exactly a welcomed thing. And I just thought she was the most liberated, like pussy flashing, unrepentant woman when it came to how she obtains an orgasm. And I was just awestruck that such a woman existed. And I think that, yeah, Annie Sprinkle, 100%.
Great answer. And that explains a lot to where you started to where you are here as the host and creator of Love, Sass and Grass. Everyone, please go follow Love, Sass and Grass on all of her social media, and please follow, like, and check out the new podcast. The first episode is out now. It's an amazing episode with your friend talking about cancer and sexuality and menopause that I think every woman and every man and whatever you identify as should check out and listen to. And you've got such an important voice out there for women and for the cannabis industry. I'm just thrilled to have you on Cannabis Conversations.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate your support. It's been really heartwarming, honestly. Thank you so much.
Well, it's all honest and heartfelt, and everybody, Love, Sass and Grass is coming on all the audio platforms near you or for you. Coming with you. Coming for you.
Oh, yeah, coming for you. Yeah, it's on Spotify, Google, Apple, and this something Stitch. Do you know what Stitch is?
Stitcher, yeah,
Stitcher. Okay, listen, that's how new I am. I'm like, oh, did I it was just like add.
Yeah, just say wherever you prefer your audio podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
wherever you prefer, that is where you can find Love, Sass and Grass.
And thanks for checking out the new video podcast on Spotify with Down the Road Show being one of the first out there, because you know what? That's what we do here. Thanks for being an amazing guest, Laura Hamilton. Go follow Love, Sass and Grass all over the place, especially here on Spotify. And Laura, I love you so much. I can't wait to see you in person somewhere down the road.
Absolutely. See you. Bye.